right. Now, I got to tell you, I just got here and somebody says LOL. Somebody says, what's this, Chael? And somebody else says LOL. What do I do with that? What do you mean LOL?
What's funny?
I don't know. I feel like they're laughing at me.
Wait,
Didn't they hear about the last time 5 guys tried laughing at me?
No. 5 guys?
No. There was 9. It was actually 9. They said it was 5. Now.
From 5 guys?
Quiet. Where were we? Oh, this is Ngannou's day. I got to tell you. All right. The one and the only Jake Paul or Tommy Fury, man, that's such a bust. That is such an incredible bust. And Jake Paul listens to me, but he does not take advice from me. They are setting him up. The boxing community is setting him up to once again take his credit away. It is a... Let's just move on, man. I'm not covering the fight. Who wins? You or Jake Paul in MMA? You got to be one dumb son of a bitch to ask that question. Who is the man? The bad guy's got some merch for Christmas. All right. I can't read your guys' questions, and frankly, they're really not very good anyway. If I wanted to hear from you, I'd have come to your page, right? I'm here to tell you things. And let's start with this. It's Francis's day. I mean, Francis went on Ariel's show, and this was not what was expected. Now, I'll tell you this. If you're ever a principal, if you're ever a performer, anytime you're in entertainment like this, sports entertainment, the absolute number one thing that you want to do, okay? And I understand that Francis is not really a performer. He doesn't really go into that category. I understand that. But whether he is a chosen performer or it's on accident, when he's on Ariel's show and he's telling a story, he's performing. And I'm going to judge it. And the number one thing that you want to do is you want to give the audience all right, the number one thing, I got to start over. It told me that we were reconnecting. The number one thing. Are we good? Are we doing this? The number one thing that you want to do is you want to give the audience what they want, but don't ever give them what they're expecting. Hardest thing in the world to do. Very, very difficult. It is quite literally what made Vince McMahon, in a scripted, cooperative performance, sold to the world as a sporting event, evoking emotion and turning billions of dollars. He will notice what the audience wants. He will make sure they get it, but he will not give it to them in the way that they're expecting. Okay. So Francis comes on today. He's got every right to be pissed off, right? Matter of fact, we'd expect him to be pissed off, wouldn't we? Content. Content is a better word. Not angry. Not upset, not even defensive. He came on today and he was very content. He thanked the UFC. He thanked them for all that they had done. Gotta make my wife a tea, you know. It's hard to get any respect around here, right? I'm trying to go live on YouTube and make a tea. Now, bear with me while this next 20 seconds while I walk this into her. Then I'll sit somewhere we can get a little bit steady. But Francis goes on today and he's content. He's polite. He thanked the UFC. He never raised his voice. And he wasn't acting. He was just being himself. And he really does feel as though he made the right decision. He thought he was standing on merit and standing on principle. Okay. Thinks that he's going to be able to move on and go and box and do MMA somewhere else. Okay. But while he's doing that and while he's being polite and while he's telling his story, he did share what it was that was holding him up. And it just had some things to do with the negotiation. Look, let me tell you the exact same story, okay? 3 years ago, there was a guy who was ranked number one in the whole sport. His name's Jon Jones. And he was the sitting champion of the world 3 years ago. And he could win a whole bunch of fights, but he could not sell out an arena. People just weren't dying to see him fight. They knew he was great. They recognized the greatness. They just knew there was a gap between his greatness and his opponents. It was the same problem Roy Jones Jr. ran into. So therefore, the match is now not interesting. Couldn't sell very well. So Jon gives the belt back, says, I'm not coming back unless X, Y, and Z happen. Now, he was hanging on sacrimony, acting as though X, Y, and Z was for the boys. It was for the locker room. It was for the company. It was for that young guy with a dream like his. And he himself will walk away forever if all the rest of the boys are not taken care of. Well, 3 years later, nobody really cared. I mean, that was kind of self-serving. You see politicians do this all the time because they're so out of touch. It's like, hey, we really don't care. Go ahead and get it for yourself. When I get up and go to work, I do it for myself too. So Jon comes back 3 years later. He's never talking about anybody else. Never said anybody else again. As soon as they give him a little bit more cake, he comes out of the woodwork. He wants to go fight. I only bring that to you because Jon's going to walk right back into a beautiful contract, right into a beautiful opportunity. I mean, he's going to get a fight for a world championship against a guy that's 1-1 in his last two. That with 1/4 second more would have been stopped by Tuivasa, which would just mean the guy's 0-2 in his last two. None of you get a fight for a world championship against a guy that was almost 0-2, is officially 1-1. None of you get to do that. Jon gets to do it after trying to hold the company hostage. Now, all I do to suggest that for you is what Jon did is how you burn bridges. It's how you can't come back. He walked right back in as soon as he said he wanted to. Francis left like a gentleman. Polite. And I just want to make sure that you keep that in mind because Francis is very likely to come back. He missed it. He made a miss. He wanted things like, what was he talking about? He wanted health care. I mean, do you guys understand how that works? They give you the money, you go get the health care. I'm from that business. Had to have health care back then. Got a wife, 2 kids. Cost me $714 a month. I got some of the top health insurance that they have in America. So there's nothing stopping me from getting it. Dana gave me the money to do it. But that's how that works if you're an independent contractor. We could have a deeper conversation. Managers should have health insurance. Managers should be providing that. Oh, I can't provide it. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. They're 1099 employees. You're going to 1099 their company. You're going to serve them as employees, and you're going to write them checks, and you're going to provide health insurance. You could do this with a semi-intelligent CPA in way less than a lunch meeting. They should do it. It would set them apart. Seems to be a big deal to some of the guys. Some of the guys apparently don't know that they can go get it. So I only bring that to you because Francis was staring about $8 million down the barrel for his next fight. And his fight with Jon Jones would do good business. I don't know about his fight after that or the one even after that. And the same thing would go for Jones. Jones versus Francis, boy, that's a good night of business. Jones versus Stipe, that's not bad. And then you're kind of stuck, right? So it's a little bit tough. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, come on, I'm clicking on you. I'm clicking on you, Perkins and Wrangler. Perkins and Wrangler, can you say, Max, I need the soups. I hate this phone. Max, I need the soups. I hate this phone. Chael, would it be harder wrestling or wrestling with submission grappling, but it resets on your feet the second after 10 seconds and there's no pulling guard? It would be a waste of time. I know practices that are ran that way. I trained for a world title fight. I was losing my mind because I was in practice. We'd go with big gloves. And every time you took the guy down in sparring, the coach would make you come back up to your feet. And his theory was, well, with big gloves, you can't wrestle with big gloves. You can't hold the guy down with big gloves. I've been doing this sport for 13 years. 3 days a week I went with big gloves, 2 days with little gloves. Yes, you can. You absolutely can do it with big gloves, just the same as you do it with little gloves. But my point is this. Why am I going to take you down? That uses so much energy. And if I have to let you up, I'm now back in the position that I elected to not be in. Oh, by the way, I'm more tired than I was previously taking you down. There is no point in taking somebody down if you have to let them up. It would drive me crazy in practice. It was a great conditioning drill, but I was getting ready for world title fights, and every single day I was having to spar like this. That's not what I'm going to do in the octagon. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to keep him there. But in practice, I had to take him down. I had to let him up. We're not playing the same game. That is not the same sport. All right. Let's see. Conor and Chimaev fight at the same time, different opponents. Who are you going to watch first? I see what you did there. And normally I would find something like that annoying, but that's a good one. That's a good one. I imagine I would watch Conor. I think we're going to see Conor. I know we won't see him more than 3 times. We're probably going to see him 2 more times, and we're not guaranteed to see him 1 more time. So just on that, I would have to go with McGregor. Chael, how often during a fight is it common? I got to tell you, man, you're single, bro. Anyone that talks like that or even thinks like that in public, you're single. Enjoy single life. Chael, how much do you think the sport has advanced skill-wise in the last 7 years? Not much. I remember in 2003 being in a van full of fighters, and they were proclaiming that the sport was at its infancy. Which I thought it was a really weird thing to say, but this was a talk, and it was at its infancy. And the sport did grow a little bit. But Georges St. Pierre was around by 2003. Georges St. Pierre still goes down as the best to have ever done it. That's not the best for his era. There's not been anybody that's come in with skills superior to George. And George was around back then, so I can't say that it grew all that much. All right. Tim, you said, did you see the big Frano speak with Ariel? I don't know what a big Frano is, dude. Are you trying to say Ngannou? GSP is the best fighter alive. Yeah, he was. When George was competing, he's better than anybody else to have ever done it. That's true. Chael, how much money do you have to send you right now to take the glasses off? I'll tell you the problem, okay? I'm a little self-conscious with the glasses. So if you're teasing me, you're going to succeed. I can't see without them. They're readers. They're not even prescription. They couldn't even give me a prescription. I had to go to Walmart to get readers. Then my wife got me the fashionable, at least in theory, the fashionable frames. But the point is, if I take the glasses off, I can't see your questions. Dana equals GOAT. That's true. Chael Sonnen, Chael. Oh, it cut out on me. Oh, here we go. Chael, I can't do it. Chael, there's something about Jon. That goddamn geese. I'm sorry, buddy. I tried for you. You saw me try for you. Hey, Chael. What is the thing? Why can't I keep up? They're just coming in a lot. Chael, can you say, Max, I need the soups. I hate this phone. Yeah, we've said it. All right, here we go. Taco Tuesday. Fair enough. Chael, don't you just wish Jon Jones... Just can't get through it. All right, guys. Oh, let's get this one in. It says, if there was something you would change about your training, what would it be, and what advice would you give young fighters? You know what? I love my training. Suppose if I had that ability to go back, and so you got to understand, I was fighting since 1999, but I didn't meet Clayton until 2008. My whole life changed once I met Clayton Hires. That's when I learned how to train. That's when I learned how to work hard. That's when I learned about peaking. I did not know what hard work was until 2008, and I worked hard my whole life. I was a Division I wrestler, for goodness sakes. We worked hard my whole life, but I didn't understand it. I couldn't have written a book on it. I couldn't have come and explained it to you. So, if I could change something about my training, I would have met my coach Clayton much sooner. All right. One last question. Okay, do you just wish that Jon Jones had the sense that God gave geese? See, I'm actually glad I stuck with that. You used my own line, you sent it back to me. That's flattering. All right, Matthew Jackson, let's get you and we'll get out of here for the night. Let's see what you said here, guy. Come on, they can do this. What a piece of junk this thing is. I'm trying to get to you, Matthew. All right, champ, what match in high school made you realize you were Division I bound? Thera, will you go grab your mom's tea, please? I got to put honey in it. Please go grab it. She's sending me a text. Okay. I try not to speak to you guys this way very often. I try not to come at you arrogant. And one thing that I do personally despise, and people are really guilty of it in the world of business. You get a guy that goes out and he made $1 million, and he's got to go write a book. He will rewrite history to write the book. I knew. And even though the world wasn't aware, I knew if I could just, he'll rewrite history, man. He took a risk. He put himself in a good position, probably worked a little bit hard, found some success. He didn't know a goddamn thing. But I got to tell you, I got to do that when it comes to Division I. My whole life, I thought I'd get a scholarship. Nothing even crossed my mind. I had a teacher bring me in one day because I didn't do well on the SATs, and he wanted to talk to me about it. He wanted to talk to me about going to college and how hard it was to get in and all these things you got to do with the grades. And I said, I'm going to get a scholarship. College is no problem for me. And I hadn't placed in the state tournament yet. I was only a freshman. I just thought that's how it worked. And then I never won the state tournament. I ended up losing to Doug Lee, who was one of Chael Sanderson's great challenges. Went on to be my own teammate, but I never won the state tournament. And I not only expected to wrestle in college, I expected a full ride. And I got one. And it was only when I looked back that I realized, hey, that's a little bit weird. There's guys that are winning 2 and 3 state championships. There's guys that were 4-time state championships, and they can't get $1. But it was something kind of like the laws of attraction, man. I expected it. I always believed it, and then it happened. I was never even grateful for it. It was the same thing getting to college. I knew I'd be an All-American. Had never crossed my mind that I could enter a tournament and not place in the top 8. All right, can't let this chat in without paying tribute to the gangster. Well, that's not a question, but I appreciate that. It says, hey, Chael, I have young children like you. Give me some advice, please. Well, Thera, what kind of advice should we give them? Nice. He was nice. Hey, show him the bicep. Yeah, tell him that's clean. That's clean. That's before I juiced you, right? What? All right. You know what? They're not all home runs. I went for it there. I tried to do something. All right, guys, I've had it with you all. You want some advice for some kids? Consistency. You're doing them a huge favor. You let them off the hook and you spoil them and you buy them all sorts of toys. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. This will be a little extreme, but it's something you will remember. Do you want to know the number one group in the whole world, not just America, the number one group in the whole world for suicide? Do you know what it is? Trust fund babies. True story. So though you want to do so much for them, though you want to do everything for them, you're not helping them. You do not need to be that kid's buddy. Go be his dad.